Assalamu alaikum, dears. How are you? We all the people, we want to be influential one. We try to influence the other people, try to motivate the other people. We want the other people to cooperate us. We want the other people to like us. And that is something quite natural as well. So dear friends and fellows, some of the people are seen somewhat effective in this, while another many of the people, they are not seen effective. They are not seen good at it. So does it mean that it is something like a rocket science, something very intricate and complicated? Not at all. Simply we need to know how to do that. And once we try to understand the matter, once we try to learn it, I think it will become quite possible and quite doable as well. So as far our today's talk is concerned, we are going to talk about how can we make the other people listen to us. So since that is something very important indeed, how can we make the other people feeling impressed by us, feeling somewhat influenced by us? So let's begin. There are certain things to do. First of all, we have to pay attention to our communication. And once we talk about the communication, there are two types of it. First one is the verbal communication, the second is the non-verbal communication. So let's begin with the verbal communication. There are certain points, there are only five points on it, and each one of these is quite important. First of all, the first point, as for the verbal communication is concerned, it says that listen actively and listen attentively as well. Listening actively on the one hand and listening attentively mean listen with all of your senses. Pay attention to the person who is talking and lean forward. Turn toward that particular person who is talking, or several other things as well. It is speak. It is listen actively and attentively. The second is it is speak clearly and confidently. We do have to speak clearly, we do have to speak concisely, and of course we do have to speak confidently. The third thing, as for the verbal communication is concerned, it is about using storytelling and anecdotes. Storytelling, whatever we want to communicate, if at all we attach a kind of important story, interesting story, it will make us even more effective. And then anecdotes as well, mean whatever happened to us, whatever is my personal story. So that is called use storytelling and anecdotes to, so that you become better able to influence and impress the other people. The fourth point, as for the verbal communication is concerned, it is about ask open-ended questions. Asking open-ended questions mean there are questions which are closed-ended, like asking something which will be responded either in the yes or in the no. This is a closed-ended question. But if at all we ask something against which, in response to what, the people have to talk, they have to say something. So it means that this is a open-ended question. Ask open-ended question. The fifth and the last point, as for the verbal communication is concerned, it says that show genuine interest and curiosity as well. Showing genuine interest and showing genuine curiosity. We need to be curious about those people. We need to be genuinely interested in those people. So that is verbal communication. Now there is a non-verbal communication as well. What is this non-verbal communication, by the way? That there are only five simple points which we need to listen and understand. First of all, we need to maintain an eye contact and we need to give a smile at the right place. Maintain eye contact and give a smile. Now maintaining eye contact does not mean staring somebody. So that is, my dear friends and fellows, using positive body language, like posture, like the gesture, using positive body language, that is very important. The third is dress appropriately and groom well. Dressing appropriately and grooming well, dressing according to the occasion and grooming well, trimming our hair, etc. And then of course we need to take a shower, etc. So that is dress appropriately and groom well. The fourth point is that use touch and handshake, pat on the back. So that is using touch, like a firm handshake and like a patting on the back. Now the fifth item, as for the non-verbal communication is concerned, that is, be mindful of personal space, maintaining the space of 2 to 3 feet. So that is called, being mindful of personal space. We talked about the verbal communication, the five important point of the verbal communication. We talked about the non-verbal communication, and of course the five important point of the non-verbal communication. Now the next step is, it is emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is a must if at all we want to be comfortable with ourselves, or we want to be comfortable with other people. First of all, that is show empathy and understanding, showing empathy and understanding. So that is something very important indeed. Showing empathy and putting ourselves into the shoes of another person. So that is how we can show the empathy. That is how we can show the empathy. And of course we need to understand other people. The second is, be authentic and be transparent as well. Being authentic on the one hand and being transparent on the other hand. The third important point, as for the emotional intelligence is concerned, that is demonstrate passion and demonstrate enthusiasm as well. Demonstrating passion and demonstrating enthusiasm as well. The fourth item on the as for the emotional intelligence is concerned, it is manage emotions and manage the conflicts as well. Managing emotions and managing conflicts as well. So because conflict resolution, it is very important, and prior to the resolution of it, if at all there is a need to manage it, then we should try to learn how to manage the conflict, and we need to learn how to manage the emotions. And the fifth and the last point, as for the emotional intelligence is concerned, it is practice humility and practice gratitude. Instead of being arrogant, instead of being arrogant, and instead of being rude, instead of being that is all bad, do not berate at all, do not berate at all. Show the humility on the one hand and showing the gratitude on the other hand. We need to become a grateful person at all, instead of being an arrogant person, instead of being an ungrateful person. So instead of showing it off, it is better to practice the humility and the modesty. Dear friend, we talked about the verbal communication, we spoke about the non-verbal communication, and then of course there was the item of emotional intelligence. And now there are certain strategies which are strategies meant for the influencing others, that is influencing strategies. And again there are 5 points of it. First point is, find common ground. Finding common ground and shared interest on the one hand. What is the common ground? What is meant by it? If at all you belong to the same area, the same village or town, so we need to pay attention to it. We need to give importance to all that. If at all you have studied in the same institution, then again it is important, or whatever there is common between the two of you. I think that should be talked about, and that is called, dear friends and fellows, it is find common ground. The second influencing strategy is that use persuasive language and rhetoric. Using persuasive, motivating language, and of course the rhetoric mean, that is the second, that is also very important. And the third item on influencing strategy is that highlight benefits and value. Highlighting the benefits, highlighting the value. The fourth item on the influencing strategy list is provide solutions and support. Provision of the solutions of the issues, of the matters and the problem, and provision of the support. Providing them with the support, providing them with the solutions of the problem, of the trouble, of the obstacle they people are your counterpart is facing. Now the fifth item, as for the influencing strategy is concerned, it is follow up and follow through. Follow up and follow through. Do not just take one thing and throw it away, but if at all you have taken something, then we need to carry it on till the very end of it, and that is called follow up and follow through. Now there is a characteristic trait we need to develop certain characteristic trait as well. So what are these character traits which we need to develop in ourselves? These are very important and simple. First of all, it is integrity and honesty. Integrity and honesty. The second is that, confidence and self assurance. First is the integrity and honesty. The second is confidence and self assurance. The third is positive attitude and energy. Positive attitude and energy, because always a positive attitude will provide you with enough amount of energy. Positive attitude and energy. The fourth character trait should be empathy and compassion. Empathy on the one hand, compassion on the other hand. Empathy means putting ourselves into the shoes of another person, and of course compassion mean being kind-hearted toward those people. The fifth item, as for the character trait is concerned, that is authenticity and vulnerability. Show your vulnerability, do not hide it. And of course we need to embrace that everybody is vulnerable, and if at all I'm vulnerable, it is fine, it is okay, and we need to show the authenticity as well. So dear friends and fellows, we need to understand that actions speak louder. How? Number one, take initiative and lead. Taking initiative and leading. And the second is offer help and support. Offering help and offering the support. The third is show appreciation and gratitude. Showing of appreciation and showing of the gratitude. The fourth item is that celebrate other successes. Celebrate the success of other people. And the fifth and the last point, as for the action speak louder is concerned, it is admit mistakes and admitting mistakes and learning. Admitting mistakes and learning. So that is actions speak louder. We talked about the verbal communication, we talked about the non-verbal communication, we spoke about the emotional intelligence, we talked about the character traits. And dear friends and fellows, we need to remember certain points. First of all, be genuine and sincere. Being genuine and sincere. The second is focus on others, not yourself. Focusing on others and not yourself. The third is build relationships, not transactions. Relationships are important. Transactions, do not pay much of the calculation, much of the attention to the calculation. That is called build relationships, not transactions. The fourth point is communicate effectively. And the fifth and the last point is that is consistency is the key. Consistency is the key. If at all you have taken one thing and you are not following it, you're not carrying it on, you don't want to take to its logical end, so that is not a good thing at all. So my dear friends and fellows, the topic we have taken today, that was extremely important and beneficial for all the people who want to influence others, who want to impress other people. That is something very, very, very important, very useful, very beneficial indeed. Thank you all.